Welcome back to NFT Talks podcast. And in today's episode, I have Diego. He is an NFT advisor. He's advised for some of the biggest brands in the world, and that's including Adidas. Yes, he was a part of that whole NFT experience. So we're going to get into looking at NFTs, NFT projects, consulting on how to bring big brands into the NFT space and looking at new business models. We touch on the metaverse, we touch on PFP projects. It's just a geek out conversation about NFTs and the amazing things you can do. So guys, there's so many gems, there's so many jewels in this. So Diego is sharing his knowledge and he's not charging at this point. So make sure you get your notepads out. Please subscribe and share, and let's help build this community. Welcome back to the NFT Talks podcast. And today I'm with another amazing guest. His name is Diego. Today we're going to talk about getting into NFTs and big brands entering the NFT space and the metaverse, business models, so much things. And Diego's got a bit of experience in that because he's been consulting big brands, and we'll get into that also. But welcome, Diego. How are you doing?
Thanks, mate. Pleasure to be here. I'm doing great. It's exciting. I mean, the word is a new word, and so much going on, and I love this space, and I'm stoked to be here talking to you. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for coming on, man. Like I said, I always start the podcast to just find out is where people come from. Like, because there's one thing I say many a times, I'm so amazed by the space. I get to meet so many different people from different walks of life, so from different industries, different experiences, and everyone just coming together in this community and trying to create and build something special. So I'm interested to hear and for you to share with the audience and listeners to a bit about your background and how did you end up here? How did you end up?
I ask myself that every day. Well, like I've been working since I was 14, different things. I'm come from Brazil. That's my background. And I've been working different things. I was excited about either, building a small business or working, just hustling, just going for it and just trying to figure my own way out. So I've been working for a long time in different things. But since I was about 16 to 17, I got a lot into agency side. So I worked a lot, with creative agencies, have been working with big brands, always sort of like on the creative side. So basically digital strategy, digital marketing, obviously digital back then meant something totally different than it does today, but that's kind of my background. The last 8 years, I've been consulting brands, specifically, again, on the sort of like the digital side of it, but as a consultant and as an independent consultant. The last 4, I've been working with Adidas. So I've been working on headquarters, have been consulting the brand, and it's been like an exciting journey. I've been in crypto since 2017, so I've been around, have seen the IPO boom, have seen the bubble, have bought assets at all-time high and see it all go down in Jan 2018. So I got rugged and I learned a lot of things from there, and I stuck around and kept learning. And for me, the thing that never really excited me about crypto as we knew or as it was because a lot of it was connected to like, day trading or charts or analyses. And it's all like sort of like the financial aspect and speculation aspect of it, which my brain is really, really bad at. So that thing for me was like quite challenging to get. But then, from about 10 months ago, when I first got introduced to NFTs through Ben White, which is a really good mate of mine, he brought me into the space. From there on, my brain just went like, because then, I started seeing like creativity getting together with tech savvy people, or like artists with, musicians and all that culture aspect of it. That got me really, really excited to a point that, I've been down the rabbit hole for too long now, and I'm never going back. And that thing definitely has changed the way my life is personally, but also professionally, because I went full on that path. So that's kind of like a little bit of the background.
How did you? So I want to obviously you touched on quite a few things. Obviously, working with big brands. So you mentioned consulting with Adidas. from learning about NFTs to, okay, understanding, think, okay, this is an amazing opportunity. I'm assuming you've dived in the rabbit hole. How do you get to the point to consult with such a big brand? Like, and how do they find you, or how do you find them? Because I think, okay, you're at the very early stages of working with these big brands, and there's going to be a lot more brands that are going to enter the space, and they all can't go to you. So there's going to be much people in your position. How do you get to the point where you have got that credibility, knowledge, experience? What are they looking for?
Yeah, I mean, I think that specific thing, within the last, let's say, 2 to 3 months, has been quote unquote a stroke of luck of being in the right place at the right time and with the right knowledge. I wasn't obviously 4 years ago searching for someone that is interested in building NFT or IPs around that space. I've been with Adidas, obviously not working on that part of the company or that part of the whole strategy. I've been just doing a normal job, a daily job, and working with different parts of the business. So from that side, I would say it's a strike of luck. Again, just being in the right place at the right time, and just being curious enough and raising your hand and trying to join and trying to help. But what has been happening within the last 3 to 4 months was a lot of people reaching out, and especially brands, through either network of friends or through LinkedIn. LinkedIn has been a very strong platform. Even though I know, we are like Twitter degens and spend our time on Twitter, and I do spend my time on Twitter majority of the time within the NFT community. But when it comes to brands, obviously they're on there just yet, right? So they're still using the traditional channels, and that's how they're reaching out. And the inbound has been incredible. It's been, really, really humbling to be able to exchange and, just sort of like not necessarily educate, but be able to, give my point of view or my experiences, and people are really interested. People are really excited. When all this was sort of like quote unquote exploding by end of the year last year, I had the feeling that things would start getting a bit more a bit ugly on the way of like people calling it out a scam or all that type of things that happens as soon as mainstream hits. But I've been surprisingly impressed by the amount of people that are just curious. I get 5 to 10 DMs every day of people trying, asking me if I can onboard and if I can help them. I've onboarded over 200 people now, one-to-one or one-to-few. It's just impossible to scale, and I would love to, because I love talking about it. And I think WAGMI means exactly that, right? We're all going to make it, and we have to support each other and bring everybody to the same page so people can take their own paths. But especially with brands has been humbling. I think it's a really new experience on which I just hang up in a call with a guy, which he said me something really funny. He was like, I joined this company, and they put me to do the NFT stuff because I was an intern and nobody wanted to deal with it because nobody thought it would go anywhere. And he spent all his time and internship doing the NFT stuff for the brand. It's a gigantic crypto brand. It's a platform, let's say. And then basically what happened was that once NFT exploded, all the board leaders and the entire SOT just turned to him, and he was like, can you explain this shit to us, because we don't get it. So this shift of reality that's happening is so exciting, because now you got like the biggest brands in the world coming up and asking for a call so they can get educated and understand what to do. And I think, it's really humbling to be in a position of someone that can help. My main goal within the space is to help it hit mainstream. I believe NFTs gonna be sort of like the gateway to crypto, because people are purchasing NFTs right now without understanding the underlying technology. And as soon as they do understand the underlying technology, there is no going back to their normal financial system, right? And that's where I think everybody wins.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. I definitely feel it's going to be the gateway to the people, the masses entering the crypto space, and not really looking at crypto as cryptos for the devil kind of thing. Like they're going to take on NFTs because brands like Nike, Adidas, and many more, they have the influence, and they're going to bring everybody over in some way, shape or form. But one thing I want to touch on is something that you mentioned, is that I get a lot of people speaking to myself, asking me questions. How do I get into the space? How do I make money? That's one of the main questions. And what I normally say to them, which is pretty much what you've done, is this is not, I don't think it's a time to, so you can invest, but it's still quite of a gamble, especially investing into these PFE projects. There's no, there may be some kind of strategy, but there's no direct strategy to guarantee you're going to make money from this. So I say the best thing to do is to educate yourself and understand what's going on, what it is, and make yourself valuable. Because if you want to make money, like big brands are going to come in and look for people like yourself, like people like the same with myself and other people that educate and understand what's going on in this space, connect to the community, and then you've got more of a flexibility of what you want to do. You can go and work for that company. You can help. You can do this and do that. So that's I always recommend that's the strategy at this point. If you want to create something, understand what's going on and see if you can create it in this space. Or if you just want to make money, educate yourself and become a valuable asset, and then people will come eventually, because it's going to happen. Yeah. So I don't know if you agree with that.
100%. I mean, I did a post the other day, again, LinkedIn, because my main point of view right now is we have an incredible community within the Twitter space, which is like the native, the diehard, the core community, and I love and I'm part of, and I'm very active in there. But what I'm trying to do is to bridge that community to the LinkedIn space, because the people that are in here, they are either decision makers, or they are people that are thought leaders, or they are people that, are curious about it. So I'm trying to bridge those two worlds and be in the middleman and sort of like bring the word. Again, WAGMI, right? I want to bring everybody to the same space. And I think the more people onboarded, the more we all have formats of winning. So what I've done there, the other day, I just posted something about, what I give as not an advice. I just give like what I would be doing right now if I'll be in your shoes, right? When you ask me, what should I do? And I think there's two avenues. There's a short-term one, which is, try to make money right now with the opportunities that are being in place, which, it is a bubble. We won't deny. I'll be very straightforward. It's a bubble. It's going to pop. No, there is no denial. If you look at bubbles, they tend to be exactly what's happening right now. And also that's exactly what happened with ICOs. That's exactly what happened with the internet in 2000s. That's exactly what's happening with crypto. And it's coming to the same direction. You see those ginormous amount of money shifting hands left and right, and nothing makes a lot of sense. So be mindful of that. But, it's time right now where you can potentially make some money playing with money that you're 100% comfortable to lose. So if you would go to Vegas tomorrow and put a certain amount of money on the number 13 and throw the dice, and if 13 doesn't come, you laugh and you had a good time, that's the amount of money you should be using in the space. So try to make money right now, because the opportunity is there. The risk is huge, but because the risk is so big, there is also a very good upside, right? So if you're playing with money you're not concerned to lose, and you're keen to take the risk, and potentially you could make money, that's the short term. But as you said, the long term, and what I'm thinking is right now you should be using that amount of money invested as a way of forcing you to learn about the space, because the money, the mouth should be where the money should be where the mouth is. So if your mouth's there, then go and figure it out and put your money. And that's the best way of saying, like, okay, I will need to figure this thing out because I don't want to lose money. So you can learn. So it's a paid education, if you want to see it like that, as you would pay for a course. And then, by learning and education aspect, what I would add for you to your answer is, I'll say build, get involved with communities and start building. A lot of people are like concerned about the build because it's such a crazy thing. And I don't understand like smart contracts and Solidity, and I'm not a dev and all of it, but I'm not talking about that type of build. You can get together with communities, with ideas, with art. Everyone has a skill set that's incredibly unique and specific to that person that someone in the world needs. Yeah. And if you don't try to find it, you won't feel that there is a need for what you're doing, right? No matter what it is, there is space literally for everyone at the table right now to come in with something to add value to someone else, And the beauty of the technologies we are very, very lucky to have access to, like Discord and Twitter, is exactly that. You can connect and you can build and you can make things happen. And because everything's on chain and everything is transparent, you don't need to trust each other to do business or to do things. You can, make everything in a decentralized manner. So that's what I would say. I would say, invest with money you can lose. Use that money as an education form to force you to learn more. Get together, get involved, and build. As you said before, I think the amount of demand coming into the space for skill sets is ginormously disproportional to the amount of offer. So starting from there, who has knowledge right now has an advantage, and will continuously keep growing like that, because every single CMO and every single marketing person in any company around the world right now is trying to figure out what's happening.
Facts. Yeah, I 100% agree. I think just to add to that, one thing I feel that I missed is we're in the grace period, the golden era of that is undervalued, that we're able to connect to people. Like you said, like LinkedIn, there are decision makers. I get founders of companies, massive companies, contacting me regular, where they would have had potentially no interest from different industries for no interest beforehand. Now this won't happen forever. So this is a point where you can connect to amazing creatives, people like yourself. Like I don't know if our paths would have crossed at any point if it wasn't for NFTs, but we're here now. And I've spoken to so many amazing people from different backgrounds, different talents, different industries, and it's all because of this NFT space is bringing everyone together. And I think people need to realize what's happening and take advantage of that, because not everybody is going to be, say in the next year, 2 years potentially, everyone's going to do what they're doing, and they're going to focus on what they're doing in NFTs, and they're going to go off and focus on what they're doing, and they're not going to be reachable anymore. Everyone's going to get focused and do their own thing. Whereas at this point, you're able to connect. And as I always say, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And in a lot of cases, so people need to take advantage of this. I've definitely done that. I speak to amazing people every day. And I'm very aware and conscious of making decisions and speaking. And anyone that contacts me, I always reach out and speak to them, because you just don't know. This person, that, and especially creatives, the people could be the next Van Gogh, for you know what I mean? So don't sleep on that opportunity. I don't know if you clearly you must have connected to a lot of different people too also.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love you putting that out. Is, you know, I've been in business for a long time, and long enough to know that what's happening right now is absolutely alien, right? I get crazy, as I said, you know, it's like CMOs and founders and CEOs from the biggest companies in the world that, you know, 11 months ago, 12 months ago, they would never ever accept my invitation to connect on LinkedIn. And now they're sending invitation to me, and they're DMing me, and they're asking if we can jump on a call to have a conversation. Like, if you are like 20, 15, 20, 25 years old right now, and you haven't experienced business enough to understand what's happening, this is alien. Take an advantage. That's the moment where you can, you know, pave the future, change your life, and just, you know, create something extremely unique. I tend to get a lot of, like, you know, a lot of hate inside myself when I'm talking about it, because I just feel that a lot of people don't understand what's going on, and I'm like, you have to open your eyes. It's gonna be a point that thing is over. You know, we're having this small window in time of potentially a whole generation, if not more, that never is gonna come back, and it won't last for longer. You know, and you sleeping on it, as you put. You know, could definitely cost a ginormous opportunity for you to be able to, you know, change your life and do whatever you want. I mean, it's fascinating. It's incredible. And I'm so humbled to be able to be part of it.
It may be my age, I think, because I think I experienced it. I was around with the internet. I was young, but the internet was around, and it came and it went, and I didn't really take advantage of that. I remember social media came around, and I remember when we were just looking on Facebook and things like that. I didn't think anything of it. I just kind of went along with it. It came, it passed, and so much business and opportunities were created in that time. And like now, we early and we understand what this is, and I think this is almost like the same thing. You can. I spoke to William Quigley from Wax, the fan of Wax Blockchain, and he was saying, "Look, this is the same thing. Look at the people that are involved: Gary V, Mark Cuban. Okay, then they're billionaires, but you got to think these people are not going to get involved for no reason. It's just like even if you don't know what's going on, look at the kind of things that the kind of so early big brands are getting involved. They explode. How big Bored Ape Yacht Club has been. They're less than a year old. That's crazy. And what they've done is what
1 billion
biggest brands
plus
in
on
the
trade
world.
volume. $1 billion in trade volume, right? And
Crazy.
they've built one of the biggest IPs in history, if not the biggest when it comes to like return on investment, because they haven't invested a cent in marketing.
Without advertising. This is the thing, like they have created a concept. The community has driven this concept. They've just kind of just kept the train running, but they haven't done anything. I can't say they've actually done anything. They've made obviously business moves, but they haven't done anything like they weren't out there on TV and being advertised. But all of a sudden, they've just exploded into the real world, and all the celebrities are buying it. Like they seem to be doing everything right, but it's just crazy. I've never seen anything like that. Yeah. And this goes down to Nike, Adidas, all these brands. This happened over a period of time, domination, getting the influences, connecting themselves with athletes and so on. The Bored Apes didn't do any of that.
Yeah.
So what do you think is so special? I'm just thinking, just a question. What do you think was so special? Like, why? Like, the more I speak about it, I'm actually thinking like, how did they do that?
I mean, I think the beautiful thing with the apes is that punks have been around for longer, and the OGs were part of that community, and then people came in, and either they were a bit too late to buy into it because it was more expensive, or they were like, I don't necessarily connect with that community for any manners or any motives. And once they put it out, again, like we need to remember that it was not like an instant hit, right? No. I think minting was open for about 6 weeks or something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Bored Apes?
Yeah. And then Pranksy came in and bought about 1,000. And then that night he got sold out and everybody got excited, but it was not an instant hit. Yeah.
I'm trying to think that depends on when I heard about it then, because I remember being in the clubhouse and everybody had the apes and I was like, should I buy one? I was like, nah, I was just concentrating on what I was doing kind of thing. And I didn't get one. And I mean, I could have got one for like, $200, $300.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's great.
Yeah, it was open for a while. So it was not like an instant hit, right? The same with Punk's comic, right? I remember very well because I bought it early as well when the comics were open, I think, for again 6-7 weeks. And then Beanie went there and did the same move. He bought about 1,000 and then it went sold out on the night. So what I'm trying to make a point there is that, we cannot get confused that, it was all instant hit and overnight success and all of that, because it wasn't. And for a long time, it was just like side trading as well, right? People were like, I buy for this price, and it was not like huge. And out of the sudden, it started like picking up traction and then building. But to go back to your point, why I think it was such a success, I think they just brought like a fresh way into the space, because punks have been around for so long. And, Larva Labs is not necessarily the most active community member, if you want to put it like that. So, when people got in and they saw something fresh and, they came up with the IP rights to have full ownership, you do whatever you want. I think that was a strike as well, because people are like, fuck, I can put that on a beer. I can put that on a t-shirt. I can build my brand, and that's going to be me. And, I think that whole excitement, and obviously the community got together and everybody got so stoked. I think those elements, just the freshness, just being like, we are the new young kids in the block, and then people like gather around that.
I also think the timing of the launch of the project, of the time in the space, is when maybe there was so many creatives that hadn't actually started doing anything at that point, because there's a lot of projects that got started outside from the Bored Ape Yacht Club community, like Balls on the Block. There's a few more. There's a few more PFP projects that have been successful that they kind of went on from there, and that was kind of the beginning. So they got everybody that was planning to build in the space was in that community. Yeah. So they made sure they drew it forward. I don't know if you agree with that.
Totally, 100%. I mean, that's what happens. And a lot of times, initially you would look at a new project and you say, okay, if there's a punk as a dev behind it, it's going to be solid. And now that type of like instant recognition, it is, if the Bored Apes are behind it, it's project solid. So definitely agree with that. So I think, that had a lot to do with it. And a lot of people do that sort of like parallel with Bitcoin and Ethereum, which, like punks represent a little bit more like on the Bitcoin side. And then then apes came to be like the Ethereum aspect of it, which, if you want to store your value, put on punks. And if you want to like build on top of the IP, as you have dApps for Ethereum, you go into apes, right? So I think those are the dynamics that made it so exciting. And I'm really curious to see how it's going to develop, because obviously with a lot of like celebrities and attention coming in, the community will get a hit on it, right? Because it starts becoming what the community initially didn't want it to be or against of, right? And now you start seeing those dynamics. I'm not romantic about it. I'm not like pro or against. I'm just excited to see how those things gonna evolve, and if there will be a new, fresh kid on the block, because now Bored Apes are getting to a level that punks were, and then people are gonna be like, I want to be, part of something new and something fresh. And this time I'll make sure I'll be there.
yeah, me too, man. I think I've got this, the same feeling as you. I mean, like, but there's so many different projects out there, and it's finding the right one. But I guess it's a case of just doing your due diligence and invest in the project that you like. That's all you can do.
That's what it is. I mean, I'm not saying like what is an X Bored Ape, so I can, do 1,000X or 2,000X. What I'm saying is which community would come, like floor price doesn't matter. Which community will come and gather together in a way that they did to build something that's new and fresh as they did. That's what matters to me, right? If floor price is like 003, like I don't care. For me, it's really exciting what they've built as a community and sort of like how much they push forward. As you said, there's so many cool projects that came from that community, and I'm just excited to see what is the next one that's going to do the same, because that's what we need. We need that sort of like freshness. And if you think about like making a parallel with social platforms as well, like, you had like MySpace, and then you had Facebook, and then you had Instagram, and then you had TikTok and Snapchat and all of it. The generations were just like, oh, my mom is on Facebook right now, like I don't want to fuck with that anymore, I'm on Instagram. And then my mom got to Instagram, now I'm like on Snapchat, and my mom got to Snapchat, now I'm on TikTok, and then it moves on. I think if you look from like human behavior on the same way, maybe the new kids coming in gonna look to Bored Apes and will think that maybe it's not cool, it's the Facebook, right? And they will look for something else. I don't know. Those are, again, speculations and just my brain trying to trace parallels of human behavior, because people tend to like underground. They tend to like the thing that nobody's talking about. And when that thing gets too cool or, too big, then people move on. It's the same with music. It's the same with entertainment. How cool it is to like back on the 2000s, just to find that band that nobody knows about, and you tell your friends and they're stoked, and then you gather against and you go to that small concert. And as soon as they blow up, you're like, yeah, they sold out. I think, there are a lot of parallels we can build. And that's kind of like what I'm always looking at, where people are spending their attention, and mainly where those kids that are natively born playing games, where buying a skin to show off or buying a skin to look different, to have a different a digital identity, where are they interested? Where are they going? What are they talking about? Because they are the ones shaping the next year.
Okay, so you touched on the Bored Apes. A few things I want to mention. I feel that they brought what they got in their project is status. They got that whole, obviously they got status, they got scarcity, they had the community, this aesthetically looked good, so a lot of people liked it also. Now I can imagine that this is something that they've had all that success, and I can imagine the brands from outside of the NFT space are looking into the market and saying, well, that works for us also on the outside. How do we do that? How do we replicate what they've done? I don't know if that's a conversation in the rooms that you're having with these brands, but I only can imagine that if they see the success of that, they're going to want to do the same with their brand. I think if they can do it, we can do it. We've been around for how many years? So what kind of conversations or what kind of questions do you think are being asked in order to, and then to follow that, what kind of advice are you giving? A little bit of advice, not too much, because I know you get paid for this, so you don't want to give it.
I can say the bill later. I mean, you touch in a very interesting way. So exactly, you nailed. What is happening a lot is, the first thing brands are doing, and fun enough, majority of it, 70 to 80%, are coming and saying, we want to do something in the metaverse. And then it's like, okay, but what do you mean you want to do something in the metaverse? What does that mean? I don't know, like Facebook changed their name, and like the company now needs to show that edgy side, and we need to do something in the metaverse. And then, the conversation goes on like, what about NFTs? No, NFTs, no, we want to do like something on the metaverse. And then you go, okay, but probably an NFT is a way on which you can enter the metaverse through, sort of like a gated experience or something like that. And then you have to go through that conversation of breaking down what metaverse is in their mind, because a lot of them still thinking that you're gonna put like VR goggles on and that's what the metaverse is. And they just want to have like that crazy experience of like putting VRs on and seeing what it is. And then you start walking them through, like different platforms, the Decentraland, Sandbox, platforms like that, or also, different experience of, virtual galleries or virtual museums or virtual events that are not at all connected with like putting VR goggles on, but it's more about the enhanced experience that we have while entering a digital space. So, the way we are connecting right now, which is this flat screen on Zoom that is just like, is weird. That's how we've been experiencing the metaverse. And now what's happening is that we are creating 3D elements and we are sort of like creating an entire new world where you can be an ape, I can be a doodle, and, we can run around and fly in this crazy universe that everything's possible. And the only thing that thing has as a value proposition is basically changing the way we interact as humans, right? Digitally now. And that's what I try to explain then. So that's what the metaverse it is in my mind. The ways we can enter that space and start, developing strategies for your brand is looking into one, what you want to do and where you want to reach and who you want to talk with. But the last thing we should be looking into is, I want to just do an NFT because it's hot right now and I need to sell more of something.
Please, thank you for saying that.
So I've been preaching that. A lot of them listen, a lot of them don't. But it's being well received, because I think, with former brands I've worked with that, we've done things in a different manner than majority of the others. People have been perceiving that as something that makes sense, So what I'm trying to say a lot is you don't have to create something new to take part or to make a statement on the space. You don't need to say like McDonald's did. They came up with the McRib and the burger thing and they just put it out. Like, you don't have to get the product you sell one-to-one and then wrap that around an NFT and then try to sell it to the community. You need to come in and take part of already existing projects, already existing communities that resonate with your brand, and with the audience that probably you're already talking with in different channels. But now you come through that new element and you are part of those communities and you add value to those communities, because the difference of Web 2 and Web 3 for me, in essence, is on Web 3, we go to the situation which, is win-win-win now. So I play around with the W and the 3, which is a 3-win. The community wins, the brand win, and the creator wins. And that's what we should be looking at, right? The Web 2 was all about, the brand wins, and then, either the middleman, like, Amazon or whatever, is winning, but then the consumer and the creator, they're just getting the last part of it. And that's what is important. I think, a lot of these conversations are going more towards that direction. A lot of people are understanding more that, being part of the space is not necessarily creating a new NFT. There's so many different things. Partner with an artist that's an NFT creator and do a collection with that artist, right? Not necessarily an NFT collection, but maybe you want to get a digital artist from the NFT space and do a physical collection, right? That's an example of like a partnership. Get someone that's a photographer, for example, within the NFT space and get them to, do a collaboration with your brand. Doesn't have to be an NFT. You're getting someone natively from an NFT. You're getting the halo effect of the NFT world, if that's important for your KPIs or whatever you're measuring right now. But you don't have to launch an NFT. There's so many different ways of entering the space and partnering. But the least thing you should be doing is creating a new NFT, because you don't need to start a new community. Nobody cares about your brand in that space. People care about what you're representing, the value you're adding, the collaboration you're creating, how you understand, how much time you spend understanding, how much time you spend around. If you go to a party, you don't like jump from left to right and just shouting at people for them to buy your shit. You go around and you hang out and you spend time and you add value and you jump into conversations. So, people want to spend time around you. And I think it's one-to-one, you just need to understand that.
I think these brands, you can tell they get exposed real quick. In the projects, when they drop a project, if it does well or not, because it's clear to see whether they've thought about this or it's just they just want to take some money from it. 100%. It's clear on the projects. So the brands, I mean, I'm concerned, I think the brands already have the answer. They do all this research, they collect all this data about the consumers, they know everything about their consumers. Now give them something that they want and then create something around that, whether it is a piece of art or it's got to connect. It's a different way to connect to your consumer, to offer them something different, whether it's a exclusive
100%
one. So they ask all these questions and they want to mimic what they've done over there, but they've got the community. They've already got their community, like these big brands have. Like they just got to kind of either educate the community about it and then do something special for them, and it will work. That's just, for me, I just see it as common sense, but they don't want to do that. They just want to take the money. Well, the ones that I mean, not everyone, because there are some brands, right? But yeah. So
I think a lot of times it comes to KPIs. That's the dirty word within corporates, and OKRs, KPIs, and all those things. They wanna have like a very clear indicator of why we are spending that amount of money.
Yeah.
So we spending like $1 million to get into space, and our ROI has to be 10 times that. And how do we get to that? And they're just looking for the quick flip, right? If you think about a parallel with the space, they are basically the scalpers. They are basically the quick flippers. They get into the project and want to sell that 10x as soon as possible, so they go to the next one. And that's the mentality. And because that's just how corporations work. The ones that are thinking differently, maybe because that's their essence or values, or maybe because they got people inside their organization that are able to transmit that message, they will do it differently because they understand the long-term value. So I think it's a lot about education, is a lot about what happens when there is a new trend. And that's very, very funny to watch from outside. There is a new trend. What big brands do, they call their consultants, right? The big consult agencies and the big consult groups that spend like zero time on the space, but they do really nice reports, and those reports are like 100 pages of like what a metaverse is and NFTs and just headliners. And they call them up and they say, okay, we need to do something. Here's a bunch of money. You got like a month, come up with something, we will do. And those guys and girls that haven't spent time in the space just come up with an idea because they need to sell it, because they also moving the needle. They also have to move the needle. And they just end up, coming up, selling something, and then they get out in the space and try to do something. I think those are the big gaps, right? Because
that's so true.
Companies that are doing it by the right way, and quote unquote, because the way the space understands it to be right, and that's obviously a matter of interpretation. But I think they were just really, really, really lucky to have people within their organizations that were inside the space and understood the space and convinced them to do the things by the right way. And they listened, which is not just luck, but also, it's kudos to the ones that listen to it, because that's where you see authenticity. The problem with it is that if someone is within the space long enough to understand how things should be done, they very likely right now are wealthy enough to don't have to work with brands anymore, luckily, or they are building their own things. What means is price is going to be really hard to find those people, or we're going to have a lot of unauthentic projects or brands coming in just because they're not being guided by the ones that understand it. So I think that's the dilemma brands are facing right now, and that's why there's so much inbound and so much people want to talk.
That's a really good breakdown, Diego. I do. The more you talk about that, it made sense, because I see this happen to like big IPs, like celebrities coming into the space and just kind of dropping an NFT project. And what they got to realize is that if you're dropping an NFT project, the people that are going to buy your NFTs are going to be your fans. And if you do that incorrectly, they're damaging your brand in a way, because they're going to be like upset fans that are going to feel that maybe they got rug pulled or anything like that. They're going to feel like they got robbed. So you've got to be careful as a celebrity. Someone, if you've got a big brand, a big IP, you've got to be careful who you're working with and what you're doing. Because I'm hearing about deals that celebrities are getting paid like in advance, maybe like 100 grand in advance to do so, and maybe getting half of the whatever they sell, but they have to do a project. They've got their IP for a whole year, but the brand can do what they want, or the agency can do what they want with their brand, which is crazy because you wouldn't do that in any other space, any other. Would you know in the real world say, okay, you do what you want with my image, and you pay me? It's not worth it. You've spent years of building that IP and that credibility about yourself to ruin it in a few months. Yeah. So
and that's the dirty word we are going against, right? What I love about, and maybe we can move a little bit on the future, what I think, it's next, and summer is coming, and summer tends to be hot pump intent when it's connected to DeFi summer, JPEG summer, NFT summer. So I think that's what you just said is where DAOs come into place, because that's, again, is a mechanism of shifting that entire narrative, where if you were a creator or an artist or a celebrity, you don't need to go and like do stuff with the studios anymore. Spotty Wi-Fi has clearly shown the possibilities within the music industry, like a little bit of it, because we are very, very, very early, but we've seen already what's possible. Beeple has shown what's possible for independent artists in an incredible, ginormous scale, and he obviously started this whole conversation. So I think that individuals have been proving that to work individually, but the next step is going to be people getting together and organizing themselves through DAOs, for example, to prove that at scale. So imagine how exciting. There's a project that I'm really excited about, and that's no financial advice. I'm invested. It's called Meta Citizen, and their core, idea behind is sort of like disrupt this model of content creation and media creation, right? So they're gonna get together with the community, understand which type of movies and films and documentaries they want to do, and the community is gonna come and bring value as producer, storyteller, whatever skill you have, and they'll produce it together. Like, that's what is exciting, and that's shifting that narrative that probably those guys would need to be begging and pitching loads of different studios to do a documentary about NFTs. And now what they do is they're raising money from the community, and there's tokenomics involved and DAOs and all that setup that potentially could pay out as an investment. But then they're co-creating together. And while you're co-creating, you already have your audience. So you already have someone either to sell or to amplify your message. And that's what I'm excited about. And that's what I think is like huge next step for the space. Apart from play to earn, which is no brainer, that's going to explode. I think that's crystal clear. But I think what people haven't paid enough attention yet, because they don't see many conversations around that, is those aspects of co-creation through DAOs, for example.
I think it's lack of understanding, Diego, and it's still, I think people are still people are doing a lot of projects in NFTs, and they still don't understand what NFTs are or the tokenomics or what it is. They're just doing it because, okay, then there's money in it. And then you're talking about DAOs where there's a lot of people not even going to understand what that is and what is the point of a DAO and what are the benefits and so on. And because there hasn't been loads of examples that have been highlighted, such as these PFP projects, then I think that's going to take time. Maybe this year, potentially. I think when we see a big brand do that, which would be crazy if a big brand does it. Like if they do something like that and they get the creators and everyone gets paid and so on, like that would be really interesting. That would be a turning point. But until then, I don't know when that's going to happen.
I feel that shift will come from the other side. I feel that shift will come from communities getting together and doing something crazy big. Like not brands, because the legal aspects of DAOs and the regulations aspects of it right now is still very, very unclear. There is a lot of movement. There's a lot of very smart people working on that. But I think the risk for a brand to get involved on that space is still extremely high, in a very, very high risky space, which is cryptocurrencies and NFTs. So I think that someone that would jump on that wagon right now as a brand could get an incredible leverage, because it will be the first thing ever to ever exist. But I think they'll be really concerned about the risk. So what I'm saying, I think that, Pleaser DAO is a great example. That's a very clear model of how they're doing groundbreaking things by, getting a bunch of people together and making statements of their purchases, right? The piece of Snowden that they bought is incredible. The Wu-Tang album that they bought is incredible. So those are statements, right? They're showing like that's what's possible with the technology. But there are other projects that are doing or proposing things bigger, which I think those are the ones that have the possibility to show what this technology is all about. So imagine you could purchase land, or you could purchase natural resources together with the community in order to preserve it, right? And then you have DAOs and governance and all of that, and you can get together as communities and start like actively creating real world impact through the blockchain technology and DAOs technology and NFTs and so on. So I think we as a community now have the power to find the best use case for these technologies through trying it out. And I think what will help the normies to understand what this is all about is when we start doing things that have real world impact. Like let's say we saved that national park that was about to be extinguished because of whatever, through using blockchain technology, NFTs and tokenomics and DAOs. And now that area is preserved and, nobody can touch it. And that's how we're going to like shape the future to, a more sustainable world. I feel when that type of thing happens, it's going to be more groundbreaking than brands coming in. And I feel the risk within that situation is going to be much lower because it's diluted within individuals rather than one big corporation.
I can see, I was just, while you were saying that, you can probably see me smiling. I was thinking, well, I think it might work. And you're from Brazil originally, so I'm sure you're into football. And fans are the most probably, football fans are very passionate about their club, and they're always saying, the clubs, the directors are taking money and so on. So I can imagine a football club being an actual club being started up as a DAO and all the fans own it. Like, that will be something special. I reckon that isn't, I think people would warm towards that idea as long as they understood what it was and how it would actually work. I could see that actually working. The fans owning the club, or like the football fans, and they get to make the decisions in regards to what players they buy and so on. And it's almost like fancy football in real life. I think that it could work. Let's get contact David Beckham. Let's see if it's
get him on the phone.
Get him on the phone. Get him on the phone.
I mean, there are some movements in that space, right? WAGMI United is a bunch of people that are already working that, right? They're trying to purchase to acquire a club in the UK. I know that G-Funk from Pixel Vault's behind that, with a couple other investors and people from the space. There's some news about it. WAGMI United, you can look it up after. I feel like they're really close to make it happen, and it's going to be really exciting. 100% Web3 DAO, if you will, club, which is, owned by the community and run by the community. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And you touched on a very interesting aspect, because football has obviously the passion of the mass behind, right? And it's such a warm crowd, and people are really passionate, and as soon as you break the barrier of the understanding and the technological understanding, which I think is going to be complex, but is an education piece, I think that's going to just set a new momentum where people are going to be, I can do that with basketball teams, I can do that with rugby teams, I can do that with surf federations. I can, and then you're just going to have this domino effect of like DAOs popping up throughout the world and changing the way how we interact and and build communities as society. I think that's really, really exciting.
Yeah, no, me too. I think NFTs and sport is something I'm really excited about, to see the kind of things they do. The other thing, going back to what we originally started talking about, is I'm really interested to see what I think fashion is this year for digital fashion. And I've been saying it from my podcast, I've been saying it from last year. Like, I'm really bullish on that side. I'm interested in doing that. I've got my own project I'm going to drop. I can't wait to see the kind of things that happen there. But what I'm going to ask you is, I'm going to give you a list of brands. I want to either thumbs up or just no thumbs down to see whether you felt they had the right approach to the NFTs.
Oh, let's do the gonna make it, not gonna make it.
Not gonna, yeah, this there. Gonna make it, not gonna make it. Yeah, yeah. So
Good. You tell me, I shout.
okay, so we'll start with. Let's start with Louis Vuitton. They had the game. They dropped the game and stuff like that. So and they dropped obviously a few virtual clothings pieces.
Yeah, I think they're gonna make it. I think what they did was legit. I think they fought through a lot, and I think the gaming aspect of it. They spoke with the very niche audience, which is within their space, and yeah,
and they did a collab with Beeple, didn't they?
Yeah,
they had their piece, so that was cool.
Yeah.
Okay, then so Burberry, Mystical Games, Blanco's Block Party.
Haven't spent much time on that. Don't know. Haven't heard of. I'm very into the space, and I haven't heard of it. Don't want to judge, but if I haven't heard of it, maybe the buzz was not big enough. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe I missed something.
I remember being announced. I seen it. I read about it. I haven't seen much of it yet, but yeah, they dropped. So okay, we'll leave that.
Yeah, well, let's keep that one.
For now, if we ain't heard of them, they're not going to make it until we do hear them. But then let's talk about Nike.
Yeah. I mean, my DGen hat on, not going to make it. I don't think coming into the space via purchasing a Web3 company is what we envision deeply inside of our hearts, because we believe decentralization is the future and distribution of wealth is what brought us together. And purchasing and acquiring and coming in that strong is not necessarily how I would see the future being. So in that sense, I'm just processing the information I have right now. Artifact is an incredible team. Whatever they've paid for it, which I imagine that has been an astonished figure. I still think they stole it, because what Artifact had as potential was incredible. Will Nike partnership accelerate their growth and everything they will be able to reach? A gazillion %. No question. They're within their brand pillar right now, right beside Jordan and Converse and all of that, right? That by itself is incredible. I think was a win to win there. But when you look back to acquisitions like Instagram, when Facebook bought it, or WhatsApp when Facebook bought it for $1 billion, everybody was like, "Oh my God, they paid $1 billion on it." I was like, "Yeah, they stole it." So I think that situation is in that sense. Right. So that's my DGen hat off. I think it's incredible. I think Nike did an incredible move. I think they will be very, very, very well positioned 2-3 years from now. And when we have about 100 million people within the space, nobody's going to care about, the true romance about Web3 and nobody's going to care, and they're going to be on the foreground. So,
all right. And so a few questions to ask. I don't know if you know about this. So in 2019, they had the patent for crypto kicks, for virtual goods. So Nike have already been, I've just been waiting for Nike. They bought the name Crypto. I think they called Crypto Kicks. I got the name Crypto Kicks. So I'm sure they're going to do something around trainers. Nike have kind of dominated the resale industry for how long? And it only made sense for them to come into this and do virtual digital trainers, especially twinning with physical trainers, because with that way, if they put royalties into that, they're going to be able to take a piece of the market, the resale market.
Totally. So, and there's so much to be done, right? Not necessarily just the one-to-one like the trainer, but what you can do is you can start bringing stats to the chain. You can start connecting with like Apple Watches and anything like that. So if people are running, you can track that, and that can enhance your NFT, and you can have live data on blockchains. Like they're smart as fuck, right?
And interoperability with the gaming and stuff like that, like enhancing your gaming character based on what you're doing in the physical world, like taking that one step further, like 100%, like, and even down to tracking. Like I think trainers are going to be collected by who's owned. Like we talk about not owning them, not wearing them, but what about trainers collected by ownership? So if Michael Jordan has wore your trainer, and then another celebrity's collected it, and then I've got the end of that, and I've got the trail of that and proof, that trainer is going to be worth like loads. So that's 100%. Another thing that hasn't even been looked on. That
provenance, right? Is the same with art. Who was owning that Van Gogh before me? I don't know, someone that was, like a king or an empire or imperator, back on the day. And now that same photo or image is hanging on my wall, was hanging on the house of someone that had a castle 400 years ago or something like that, that type of thing. So I think you're definitely right. It's going to be like, that flex of who owned that before me and I'm the new owner, 100% I'm exploring that. And I think is the one-on-one from art that we could have learned earlier, but doesn't seem to pick up a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting that you talked about being still to with artifacts. I don't really think about that side of it, but it's true because where they were and how. Do you consider it maybe it's a kind of, when Supreme got bought? You think it's that kind of by like it, because when Supreme, the streetwear brand got bought, but I can't remember what company got bought by. But then since then, sales went down and they haven't done as well because they lost that whole exclusivity,
authenticity. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen with Artifact because one is very early, and two, what they've been providing is incredible, right? From like there wasn't a better brand within the space to do what Nike has done with. There wasn't. They were the top-notch, best in class. So I think that will help them to accelerate mainstream adoption. Absolutely, no question. So maybe if I could sit on their side and understand from their angle, I think that's what they were looking at as well. How quick can we grow alone and how quick can we grow with Nike? Not necessarily just the revenue aspect of it, but also mass adoption. And they obviously are looking at it as a platform. Like which better platform do you need if not one of the largest brands in the world to help you get there and now be your partner. So yeah, I think it was an incredible move, I think, for both. I just think from a valuation point of view, no matter how much money was behind, in that sense, that's what I meant. But like as a platform, is going to be insane. We'll see it.
Okay, so what, we're going to make it?
I'm in between two hats, right? My DJ hat says he's not gonna make it. My corporate hat says he's gonna.
We gotta go with one, man. I'm gonna put my foot down, Diego. We gotta go with one. We gotta make it with that.
That's gonna make it. I mean, you can't bet against Nike, can you?
All right, then. So and then of course Adidas. Now, don't be biased. Obviously, I know you was involved with certain things and working with them, but based on what they're doing and whatnot.
Yeah, I think looking to what has happened, 100% gonna make it, because I think last year, and again not being biased, I wouldn't not be able to count on a handful how many brands have entered the space authentically, and Adidas is within that. So because of that, 100%. What is interesting and exciting now is how the future looks like, right? So what's going to be built on top of the existing NFT into the metaverse that has been created? How much will be added on it? What are the benefits? What's coming next? There is a clear rollout that has been widely communicated. I think the next step and the future will define the not going to make it or going to make it. But for lack of simplicity right now, I'm betting and believing that Adidas is going to make it for sure.
Okay, one more curveball, the hundreds.
Yeah. I mean, it was really cool what they've done, but I just feel they lose momentum somehow, right? It just
interesting. I mean, why do you think they've obviously they collaborate with the Bored Ape straight away.
Yeah,
that was a banger.
Yeah,
I love that. I got one of them tees, and then obviously they did the Adam Bombs.
Yeah.
And they're openly saying we're taking our time with it. We're not going to rush. We're here to stay for the long run. That's what they're saying. So, but what's your thoughts in regards to?
Man, we are living on a space that we all have attention spam of like an ant, and everybody's just like, what is next? Announcements, when for, and when token, and when this. So I understand they're taking their time to build the long term, but it's really risky to be taking the time within such a crazy fast moving space. And that's what I mean. I feel they are losing a little bit of momentum because they're just taking time to build the next thing, which is fair enough. It's a bit of like it's a weird situation because at one hand we're like, come, enter authentic, build for the long term, but then in the other hand we're like, okay, give us something, like show us you guys still alive.
One thing I will say though, he's like Bobby Hundreds, very active in the community.
Yeah.
From his community and doing his job and speaking about NFTs and pushing the narrative and saying this is the future and so on, and then also bringing in other brands like Nicky Diamond and so on, and getting other people involved from them in the real world and educating them to a certain extent from what I can see. So maybe is that not being active in the community? If you're doing that, you're playing your part, even though you're not actually doing something with the hundreds and atom bombs, but you're still
It's a
there.
different angle. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
different angle. And you're definitely right in that sense. I just felt like I was focusing more on the NFT itself rather than the creator and the brand behind. But yeah, you're definitely right in that sense. You know, they've been around talking and engaging. And again, it's just our brain of like, we need to see those things growing and coming out. And there is every week, there's something new and it's exciting. The community is thriving around it. It's just because it's such a fast moving space. But yeah, I feel from what they've done so far and they've proved themselves, they're gonna make it.
Okay, cool. So then that's cool. Then I agree with. Yeah, I think I agree with the majority of them. I think Gucci, he said he wasn't going to make it. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard. I mean, if they don't make it, then what happens to them? Like,
for me, it's like we're judging things with the information we have right now,
yeah,
right?
yeah, of course.
So
yeah.
like, but if they don't pivot from that, which I personally think is not, the right way of going about it, then it's gonna get dirty in the future because there is no denial that the digital fashion industry is gonna blow up because it's on the core of humans' behavior and culture and society. The need of expression, the need of expressing yourself. This is just the tip of the iceberg, but people will want to express themselves within this entire new world that's being built. And there will be different manners of doing so. And like the question is not, if, the question is when that thing is going to blow up.
Yeah, I wholly agree. And people question it, and I never get it. Like I'm saying, okay, why are you questioning, like obviously digital clothing? Because people use filters and all the time. Like it became a big thing, and everyone was doing the dog licking thing and all sorts on Snapchat. What was all that about? But you could argue that like it's just a form of expression, and if you're going to spend all your time in this world, which you will call the metaverse, and social media is a part of the metaverse, and people spend all their time there.
100%.
This is just the next step, and evolving in immersive tech and actually using VR and AR. And like I said, it's gonna be a new world that we can create, and we're going to use NFTs to create a whole ecosystem around that, a safe way. So it only makes sense to me. Like, so when people ask me the questions, I try and explain it like that, but people still struggle to get their head around it. One thing I will say is, I feel like gaming is going to play a big part to this. I think the figure is like 3.2 billion people game in the world at this point, and that's only going to grow. And like you mentioned earlier on, virtual goods and skins, that's already a part of people's lives. The younger generation, they don't know any different. Now, actually owning them goods, because I always imagine that when I played like Grand Theft Auto GTA, I spent hours playing that game. So let's imagine employing play to earn to that, and having the match. Everything was actually NFTs. And when I bought that building, I own that building. And when I bought that Mercedes, I own that Mercedes because it was a special edition NFT released by Mercedes, the actual Mercedes. And then when I finished playing it, I've got 1.3 million worth of assets, and I can just sell it to whoever I want, and I make money, and I get money back for my time. Whereas at this point, like you mentioned earlier on, with Web 2.0, we don't get paid for our time, we don't get paid for our information, we don't get paid for anything. But we give it out to all these companies for free. But now we're going to be able to capitalize or gain back from that, which I think is Web 3.0.
100%, mate. Preach. I love it. I'm all on the same page than you.
Yeah, man. Like, so that's something I'm really good. Is there anything? Okay, so what other industries? Is there anything apart from gaming, fashion, that you're really excited about? That is gonna really got your interest? If there's something really unusual that no one's really speaking about, that you
I think music and entertainment those are dinosaurs too, right? So many new ways of platforms have been disrupting those industries lately, like Netflix, Spotify, and all of it, but still centralized ways on which the artist is the one getting the least, right? And I think now with the technology being in place and builders building platforms that are decentralized and make artists and musicians' lives easier to get on board of that type of technology, so they don't need to understand the tech, but they can do what they do best, which is create. I think that's going to be really, really exciting as well. Albums and movies and documentaries and creation of content. Again, like I mentioned Meta Citizen before, because I think is a good example of that sort of like flipping that narrative. I think that industry is going to be really interesting as well, because how exciting it is that you could support an artist that you really like in the beginning, and then when that artist blows up, you can go back to like see who were the genesis supporters, and now that you blew up, you can go back and support people that help you to get started. That was never possible before. How many people are like, oh, I own the first NFT from Beeple, blah blah blah. Cool, you can show you do it now, but you cannot show you got the first scratch from like Da Vinci, because there is no proof of it. But now you can do that on chain, right? And that applies for music and for entertainment and all of it. So I'm really excited about that. And entertainment going beyond like big productions. I'm talking like YouTubers or content creators or podcasters. Like there's a lot of economics to be happening around that, right? Farok just launched a Rug Radio NFT as well, and they're building an entire IP around that. Another example, I think that's gonna start becoming the one industry that's gonna be quite exciting to keep an eye on as well, apart from like the big ones, like play to earn. One thing I don't know how it's gonna play out, but it's always like sort of like a hidden card that shows up and disrupts everything, as usually is the porn industry. I have no idea what's going on there.
Wow, this is another thing. It's true.
Every
talking about it,
every time there is exciting tech, those guys and girls come to the corner and they just like boom, they just blew up, right? I don't know what's happening there. I have no transparency, but I'm sure there's some really exciting things cooking in the background.
There is. I mean, I can't really say, but around images, I've had conversations with somebody that is going to go down that route in that industry. But I think that's definitely going to come soon, isn't it? It only makes sense.
Imagine like OnlyFans on chain or something like that,
Well, this is OnlyFans NFT, like OnlyFans NFTs, like that's what they're doing. They're going to be able to create their own economy and offer different things to different people. I think it's going to get real interesting a bit. It hasn't been touched on.
This distribution of wealth is, usage of your IP is cutting the middleman.
Yeah,
beautiful. It's beautiful.
All right, so moving on to, do you collect NFTs?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So what's your favorite NFT first of all?
Within my collection, I'm a Pixel Vault maxi. Okay. I love it all. I have almost everything they touch. I still missing a couple planets there to get my planetary set, but it's coming. I feel it. 80% of my portfolio is in there. It was my initial investment as well, and has grown exponentially. And I love it, man. It's just like the team is so solid. The idea is so great. And I definitely think and feel that they're gonna, disrupt a lot of different things. I think first the IP industry, when, the vision of trying to be, Marvel of Web3 and NFTs, then the gaming industry, because they've raised about, I think, 30 to 50 million to build the game they will be building within the next 1 to 3 years. So there's a lot to see there. The partnership with Adidas was incredible as well to watch. Like they're 6 to 7 months old brand, and they've raised, I don't even know the amount, but I will bet above 100 million within everything they've done, trade volume and all of that collectively collected. That's my guess. They partner with one of the largest brands in the world. They've been hiring left and right the top-notch people from the industry. They're one of the very few projects I know of that are working with really serious lawyers and companies to ensure that whatever they are setting up as DAOs are by the books and are as sustainable as possibly can be today. they just dropped their tokens, and Punks and PAO has been significantly stable compared to what usually happens on other projects. I'm bullish, I really believe on their vision. It's sitting on my vault and I don't touch it. So that's the project I'm most excited about when it comes to the future and the potential of growth behind it. One of the projects I'm the most excited about that I'm involved, that is Doodles. I think Doodles is such a cool project.
That's dope.
They are bringing like the edge from Cool Cats being like family friendly, and the brands will love it because it's so cool to play with it, but still that edge of degen on it. So it's not too much on the Cool Cat side, but then it's not too much on the Bored Ape side, but it's merging both words. I really, really like it. I just love the community, the creators behind. They're taking their time. They don't announce anything. They're just like doing their thing, so it's been exciting to watch. Yeah, like top of my head, those two are two that I'm really excited about. I mean, I'm involved in a lot of different ones that, what I'm trying to look for right now is something that nobody's looking at, because everybody's on the PFP world, or a lot of people are on the PFP world. I'm trying to find like, membership passes, or, like Meta Citizen again, some type of different models, which we are still very early to understand. And you can see that on the amount of people that are buying, or the trade volume that they're having, which is very low. And sometimes they're not even selling out because people don't understand the tech yet. But as we evolve and people understand the tech, those going to be like the OGs that have been doing that for 4, 5, 6 months.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to get desperate to come in, and you're going to be well positioned. So I'm trying to balance I'm playing the PFP game right now, but then trying to see what's next and trying to get my portfolio more to that direction, or collection to that direction, to be well positioned, because it's undeniable that, like those new ways of organizing communities and building and creating new things is going to be the next step. Because
I think access is going to be a massive thing. I think we touched on it, but we've got a lot more to come on that side, whether it's to get access to people or events or exclusive membership and whatnot. Like, I really think there's a lot of fun things that can be done. I think we're just like scratching the surfaces. So yeah, that's what I'm really excited about that. So I think NFT NYC done, when they had their event, obviously the event on the website, you could download loads of NFTs.
Yeah.
And they're all access to, like, whether it's parties or courses or different things. So I think there's a lot to come on that side too, also.
Yeah.
Along with apart from just PFPs.
100%.
All right, so let's round it up, Diogo. I want to find out, and I asked this at the end of the podcast, is I want you to explain to me, how do you see a morning, you wake up in the morning with NFTs involved, in the next 10 years, you wake up, how does it look? Describe your morning from you waking up out your bed to what you're doing. How does the world look, and where does NFTs, where is it involved in your life?
That's exciting. Honestly, I think everything that exists physically that demands any type of like interaction or proof or connection will be an NFT.
That's cheating. No-brainer. That's cheating. I want you to explain. I want you to wake up in the morning. I'll go in the morning.
Okay, let's go. Dude, my that's gonna be a full improvisation session. Woke up, the alarm rings on, the phone is an NFT. And then you unlock it, it's gonna be seeing, like the different aspects of what's going on in the world, and like different things you're collecting, and what happened overnight, and people like trading or events that's gonna happen. I don't know. And then from there on, you stand up, and you're gonna have loads of like digital screens, or walls or glasses which you can interact with. Again, it's going to be an NFT, because they're going to be unique items or things you collect, or things that you can purchase. I think you're going to have a lot of physical and digital furniture, maybe that you've purchased a certain chair or something like that there is a IoT connection to it. And then you're gonna jump on the car. Car is gonna be electric. It's gonna be, you know, hopefully something like Tesla or something similar, where you have like the whole entertainment system inside. That again is gonna be play to earn. It's gonna be, you know, like the interaction of the car with the outside world, tolls, parking. This can all be through blockchain or NFTs or tokenomics. You know, I think tokens, not necessarily just NFT, tokenomics is going to be huge. Tesla is going to have their token. Stephen Curry is going to have his token. Everyone is going to have their token, and you're going to be just like living within these ecosystems and exchanging through. So imagine a car that does microtransactions with everything around. You know, like tolls, again, parking or charging. You don't need to do anything. Car just like transacting. You have a digital wallet in your car. But I don't even know what I'm going, right? Because I mean, I can be anywhere and do anything, and I'm not going to work for sure because they don't go to the building anymore. So I don't know. I'm just driving
crazy,
around.
Man. Like, I'm just thinking, why are you saying that? Like, especially when you mentioned about the Steph Curry or the actual tokens. I'm thinking
100%.
like, yeah, like obviously social tokens and whatnot. And let's say that gave you access to special parts within the stadium, and you could park to all the next to the Steph Curry fans, and you all got your own section there. And depending on like, maybe like you can take it like.
You know what Gary has done with VFriends and now with Flying Fish and also with the book games.
Yes.
Bro, he's ahead of the curve.
He understands. Yeah, he's got it.
Access token is gonna be huge.
100%.
Imagine if you're a die hard fan like MJ, right? And by purchasing that token or NFT and being part within that very, very small community, now you got access to his time. Now you got access to have dinner, breakfast, or now you got access to just chat, or now you got access to here, like that's a jersey that you use in a game on the 80s, 90s, signed, one of one. Like, and all you need to do is help or be part of the brand. So I feel access token is gonna be huge in that sense, you know? Yeah. Imagine like I have a vision as a person, and I want to gather people around me that can help me to get to that vision. And what I will do is provide value to all of them because they're helping me to get to that vision. So I think we can shift those things of like, oh yeah, you know, you can just get like something for free from a celebrity. So imagine if you got like historical people that have been really important because they did groundbreaking change on society. If they were able to use that tokenomics to get people behind them to help them get the message out.
Yes.
Right. I mean, that's exciting within access token, but again, we are just so early because all we do is like flipping you know, dick butt heads NFTs and like shouting floor in Discord. And I'm just excited, man. I'm excited to see the next 20, 30, 40 years of all of this. And you know, I feel we are in a position in society right now that we can shape the future, and it's so damn exciting.
Yeah, and I think that's the perfect end to the podcast, man. Like this is the opportunity. Don't sleep on it. That's all I can say is that just take your time out to do your research, connect, and enjoy, and do something that you can create yourself. Like there's no limitations, no ceilings. We can create anything at this point, literally. 100%. So yeah, so excited. Well, there you go. Thank you for your time. I enjoyed talking to you. I'm sure listeners, the viewers, you've dropped some amazing gems. And hopefully we can get you one later on down the stage and get you one again and see what you've done. I'm sure have you got any projects in the pipeline?
Yeah, but I can't talk about it.
Right,
keep
cool.
an eye on it.
Keep an eye on it.
Hit me up on Twitter, Borgo, find me there.
Yeah, and LinkedIn, man, like you said, man, you're very active on LinkedIn. So yeah, anyone that's on LinkedIn, I'll make sure I'll put your links down below. But thank you everyone for listening. Everyone stay listening and stay blessed.